Hello again, and welcome back to Scott Wonders World. Ugly One's back with a video with a bit of a difference. I don't do a lot like this, but it's been a subject. It's been on my brain over the last week or so, and it's the subject of dry January, whatever you want to call it, whatever it's called this week. The whys, the wherefores, the good, the bad, the ugly, and just all of the things surrounding it, really. So I've done a lot of investigating or research, if you want to call it research. I've looked into dry January. I've looked into the merits of dry January. I've looked into the cons of dry January. I'm going to get fed up with saying dry January. I've got quotes, comments from people, and I've tried to come at it as I've been a predominantly beer channel. I've tried to come at it at a very neutral perspective and give a broad overview of what it's supposed to mean, what I think it means, and therefore really. I've written, unbelievably, a script or large portions of the video, something I've never done before, because I think it's important that if you're going to touch upon this subject, to do it properly. So dry January, Stoptober, Movember, Veganuary, all terms that have come into the English dictionary and lexicon in recent years. Are they fads? Are they virtue signalling? Are they good causes? Do they promote changes in your lifestyle? Or are they just a complete waste of time? Does a man that grows a moustache for Movember, without actually raising any money, actually achieve anything? Similarly, especially if he shaves it off the month after, although he's raising awareness for the causes that Movember are around. Similarly, does abstaining from eating meat for a month and then returning achieve any desired goals the month later? Does someone that dries out for a month from alcohol but then goes on a bender the first chance they get in February achieve the results of that quest? And those are the things that I've been looking at and tried to put a video together for. Today I'd like to take a look at one of the campaigns that's grown enormously in the past 10 years. Dry January. Currently it's experiencing its 10th anniversary. Through December, common consensus that people just get pissed daily, overindulge in any way they can, drink as much alcohol to sink the Titanic, and eat their own body weight 3 times over, and generally do everything to excess. And I think portions of the nation probably do that. So much so that people are heading off to the gym first thing on New Year's Day, promising to reduce their consumption of meat, booze, and generally feeling like the gluttonous whales they've become in the space of about 14 days. New Year's resolutions are made: get fit, drink less, eat better, be nice to the people, and they're all out the window, largely, come the second week of January. Although there are people that commit to their New Year's resolutions, and fair play, I completely respect that. Where people realise all of this really isn't them, and they return to their normal lifestyle, which, for most sensible people, isn't the overindulgence of the festive period monthly. It's just that. It's overindulgence for a month. So let's take a look at dry January. Probably the biggest and most well-known of the current campaigns aimed at people in the new year. What is dry January? Founded in 2013 by Alcohol Concern, which is now Alcohol Change UK, charity based. So Dry January was founded by a lady called Emily Robinson after taking a month off alcohol in January 2011 to train for a half marathon. In its first year alone, 4,000 people signed up, and last year over 130,000 people took part in Dry January, and that's obviously just people that are actually signing up to it, not the people that are just doing it to try and sort of recover from Christmas, etc., etc., etc. Research by the University of Sussex, published in 2020, found that those signing up to take part in Dry January using Alcohol Change's free Try Dry app, we'll get to the app, and coaching emails are twice as likely to have completely alcohol-free month compared to those who try to avoid on their own in January and have significantly improved well-being and healthier drinking 6 months later. So what they're saying is, by signing up to their app or their coaching emails, you are more likely to be drinking more responsibly and healthily 6 months later than you would if you didn't sign up for their app. The app's free. I've had a look at it. It's basically just a lifestyle sort of app, and you put in your units, blah 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 blah. Dry January has official partners in Switzerland, Germany, Norway, France, and the US of A. What their website says is 86% of people, save money during Dry January, obviously spending less on alcohol. I don't know what the other people are doing then. 70% people have better sleep when it comes to sleep. 66% of people have more energy. And importantly, double your chance of an alcohol-free month by downloading their app. There's the app again. So everything's pointing at, let's download our app because it'll make you feel better. Whether it does or doesn't, I don't know. I've looked at it. You put your alcohol consumption in. I think it's 14 units a week for an adult anyway. So, you know, most... that's not true. A large portion of the nation will probably be exceeding 14 units per week anyway, on a rolling 7-week cycle, 7-day cycle. Sorry. Stopping drinking suddenly can be very dangerous and can even kill you. If you are dependent on alcohol, if after a period of drinking you experience any of the following symptoms, you may be dependent on alcohol and should not suddenly stop drinking completely. So these are the things you should look out for if you are drinking regularly. Then if you have these, then you should not be doing Dry January and stopping suddenly. Seizures or fits, hand tremors, i.e. the shakes, sweating, I sweat 'cause I'm fat, seeing things that are not really there, see dead people, depression, anxiety, difficulty sleeping, insomnia. But you can still take control of your drinking. Speak to your GP, who will be able to help you get help for you to reduce your drinking safely. Find out more about getting support. If you are looking to do anything like this, please seek help first. Speak to your doctor. Speak to any supports that you can get, because obviously there are dangers in just stopping all of a sudden. And what we'll do is we're going to look at the health side of it first, then we'll look at the business side of it. We've got quotes from people and comments from people, and then you'll see as we go along. So the charity behind Dry January. Dry January is brought to you by Alcohol Change UK. Did you know that every hour someone dies as a result of alcohol? We're working to reduce the harm drinking causes. We're not anti-alcohol. They're not. I'm not we. It's them. They're not anti-alcohol. They're for alcohol change. Dry January. Dry January. Are you in? No. But we get to why. 31 days alcohol-free. A break and a total reset for the body and mind with Alcohol Change UK. Sleep better. Have more energy. Improve your mental health and concentration. Look fabulous. I look fabulous anyway. And get brighter skin, save money, and feel an amazing sense of achievement. All stuff that could possibly be true. I've looked at some websites that have given pros and cons to Dry January, and I've picked bits off of them. The BBC Good Food Guide says, number 1, Giving up alcohol for a month may aid weight loss and lower blood pressure. So it may. Number 2, dry January may, that word again, have short-term health benefits, but longer-term drinking patterns are important too. You stop for a month and you piss out for the rest of the year, what's the point? Number 3, dry January may, 3 Mays, promote self-awareness around drinking behaviours. I think that's absolutely true. I think if you want to do something and this is something that's for you, and it promotes a longer look at how your intake is, all well and good. Looked at something called the Recovery Village, and they gave some pros and cons. And it says, pros, cutting alcohol from your diet can result in several physical, mental, emotional and social health benefits. These benefits include, number 1, weight loss. Number 2, better sleep. They're all the same. Number 1, weight loss. Number 2, better sleep. Number 3, improved organ function. Number 4, clearer mind. And number 5, enhanced relationships. So it's saying that alcohol inhibits all these things. So you're going to gain weight, you're going to sleep like shit, all your fucking organs are going to fail, you're going to be muddle-headed, and you're not going to have a relationship. Potentially. The cons. While dry January has plenty of benefits, some people may experience drawbacks to suddenly abstaining from alcohol for a month. Some disadvantages to dry January include, number 1, the health benefits are lost when returned to drinking. So you abstain for a month, you don't do anything, February 1st, you just go back to normal. I don't see the benefit in that. Number 2, it could affect your social life. Many people drink to meet people and cope with social anxiety. I completely agree with that. Going to the pub, going to a restaurant, going to a bar, all social elements that people thrive on. And we're going to get to the hospitality industry because I think they can do more. 3, abstinence could cause withdrawal symptoms. If you are dependent and you think you've got a dependency on alcohol, again, please seek medical advice before you try anything like this. I think that's really, really important. Men's Health magazine had a great article. I think it's dated 2020, so it's a couple of years old. Expert bodies don't promote total abstinence. Instead, the Royal College of Physicians recommend 3 alcohol-free days a week instead. So not complete abstinence, but at least 3 free alcohol, 3 free alcohol days a week instead. Whilst the British Liver Trust suggests at least 2 consecutive booze-free days a week to maintain a healthy liver. So the Liver Trust says 2 alcohol-free days. The Royal College of Physicians say 3. But crucially, they also flag up the many ways you can go about looking after the man's most dependable organ. That catch-all favourite of more exercise, do more exercise. For instance, burns fat in the liver, whilst eating more fruit and consuming less sugar will help it go about performing its 500 plus functions that the liver has. When it comes to liver health, alcohol consumption isn't the be-all and end-all. The problem with abstinence is that it encourages yo-yo behaviours. If dry January swiftly turns into sopping wet February, you're not doing yourself any favours. This binge purge mentality is typical of UK culture. Unlike much of the continent where alcohol is ever present but not overindulged, for us it's that once angel and demon again. Going dry only reinforces this cycle. This is what Men's Health and these people are saying. I put on, obviously we've got not just YouTube, we've got an Instagram account, we've got a Facebook account. I put that I was doing this video and I asked for people's thoughts on it. Because I thought it was really important to get a range of people's thoughts, not just mine. I could pull anything off a website, but actual people's thoughts on what they think of a dry January, beer intake, lifestyle choices, etc, etc, etc. So these are taken from Instagram. Beery Beast in the East, thank you very much. I've done it before, no doubt we'll do it again. I can steer you in the direction of reasonable beers for those wanting to try. I'm assuming he means non-alcohol beers or alcohol-free beers. So he's done it before, and he would do it again. A little beer, barbecue and food. If doing it to raise funds for charity, then it's a noble cause. I completely agree with that. If you're doing it for a charity, absolutely magic. If you're just doing it to look good, well, join the crowd. I have issues with that. But I do wonder how many make it to, say, week 3 or the last few days and just give in to temptation. This is why I don't do it. I fully know that I would fail. Plus, Mama didn't raise no quitter. So you can see the benefits of it if you're raising money for it. But if you're just doing it to be part of the crowd, I don't get it either. Irish craft beer guy Alamede. I think if people want to take a break from anything after Christmas, including alcohol, that's okay. We all know too much of a good thing is bad, but for me, I won't be putting a label on things. Dry January, for example. If I want to drink, I will. Maybe not in the same volumes as December, but I'm not going to deny myself. Life's too short, each to their own. And I think that's a very, very good point. It's about moderation. December is generally where you spend the time with your family, so you're going to overconsume of food and everything. As long as you go back to your normal state of what you consume, maybe reduce it a bit, absolutely fine. The UK barman. Dry January is a bit of a gimmick that is used for virtual signalling and allows the self-righteous to be even more pious than normal. If people want to abstain or take a break from something, then that's fine. But why broadcast it to every man and his dog? If you're drinking too much for 11 months of the year, then abstaining for a month isn't going to make much difference. If you want to abstain from alcohol for a month and donate what you would spend to charity, then great, but don't preach about it. Better to cut monthly alcohol intake by half and donate spare money to a different charity each month. Now that's the best of both worlds. That will actually make a difference to your health. And a great comment. Absolutely fantastic. Benny Salter 89. I did it once and it made me miserable. I'm more of a cut down January person, and I'm going to get to that a little bit later because I agree. Man Cave Adventures. I honestly don't see the point if you're just going to go back to it in February. As the UK barman points out, better to decrease intake monthly than to just cut it out for 1 month only. Further, if you're a fan of all things beer, you'll surely understand the damage it can do to small breweries, and we're going to touch on that as well. Hopstonation. I think it's a joke, like all the people that clog up the gym in January, having overeaten. Blue Van Man. It's just a stupid fashion of being a cock. BJB16. Booze being a toxin, it's got to be a good idea to give your body a break from it if you consume on a regular basis. I've been drinking frequently now for so long, I don't know if I would feel any better / different without it in my life. I've only really been drinking beer for the 6 of my 33 years I've been on the earth. I know I consume too much, not enough to get a hangover, but on a frequent enough basis that it adds up, as opposed to those who go out on a weekend and smash it and spend 2 days feeling like death. Another made a good point. If you cut your booze intake in half for a full year, then you technically have 6 months less booze than you would normally have. That's got to be better than 1 month with nothing and 11 months at your normal intake. On the other hand, if we are honest, no booze year round is the best way. Whenever I've set a target before, the month drags because I'm focused on the end and the countdown. Kimini. The same people who do Dry January will be the same people complaining about the pubs and clubs closing down. It's great to focus on your health and well-being, but this should be an all year round pursuit and not just for a month. Dry January makes no sense to me at all. On Facebook, we had a few comments on the Scotland Wonders World on Facebook. David Rookley. Dry January and October is no good for him. Birthday in January, local beer festival in October. I don't think there should be social pressure to not do something, and I think that's a very good point as well. The social pressure for things these days is enormous. Paul Lindley Buckley. Personally, I don't see much of a difference between Dry January and all the weight loss books DVDs that come out at the same time of the year. It's a way to make people feel bad after so many of us have overindulged at Christmas and make us buy more things, whether that's books, DVDs or alcohol-free beer. I understand businesses have to make money, but it's not just about a month of the year. I say if you want to drink, eat, or whatever it is, as long as you're not hurting yourself or others, then go for it. Guy Carpenter said, I'm more of a try-January myself. It's about supporting local businesses, breweries generally. I am happy to support people who are willing to try dry January, as it's not for me. I'm out. Mark Colmer says, I've done it for the last few years and can honestly say it does make you feel better after the Christmas binge. So Mark sees a benefit with it. Darren Walsh, giving something up overnight can actually be very bad for your body. Stuart Miller would love to give it a go one time, but with the usual stresses that life and work throw up week in, week out, I don't think I would be able to handle without a day without the thought of some nice beers at the end of it. Also, January is dark and depressing. You need some sort of enjoyment to help you through. James Kinnevy, it's a load of bollocks, just like the rest of the fads. Drink if you want to. Drink if you want, when you want, without being judged. So a range of thoughts from the guys on Instagram and Facebook. Some for, some against, some in the middle. My good friend Dave, the Blue Man, has helped out by putting a poll on his Twitter account. Are you taking part in Dry January? There were 1,879 votes when he sent it over. There might have been more since. Yes, 21%, so that's 395 votes. No, which was 45% and 846 votes. What's Dry January was 13% with 244 votes. Excuse me. And Dry January is just stupid. 21% with 394 votes. So the biggest take from that was 846 votes of the 1,800. 45% said no, and you can stick in the other 21% if you want. Dry January is stupid. So over half, well over half, said they weren't going to be doing it. We put a poll on our community channel. Obviously nowhere near as big as the Blue Van Man's. Simple question: Dry January, yes or no? There was 154 votes. Yes, 33%, 51. No, 67, 103 votes. So in both polls, people said, the majority of people said no to Dry January. And there were some comments on the poll. Jack W did both January and October last year, not doing January this year, but see no issue with people doing it. Just stick a couple of web shop orders in for the next month beer supply. Mark Dodd, it's an awful, depressing time of year, so I vote no. Why make it worse? Everything in moderation is the key, I reckon. I think moderation is going to be the word going forward. Dean Brown, thank you ever so much, Dean. Been dry for over a year now, as booze was taking over my life, but still watch. Thank you ever so much for the comment. Hope you're keeping well. Sharp stuff. Drinking responsibly all year round is my view. Dry January could be good for those wanting to trial cutting down completely, but not something I want to get involved in. Andy K, no, I'll definitely cut back and even have a couple of weekends off, as I don't drink at all during the week. Beer and buildings. Short answer, no. Longer answer, I'll probably take an opportunity to cut down, but cut down a bit, as I've probably been overdoing it. We'll hopefully lose a bit of weight and save a bit of money along the way. Marcel Wallace, my mate, do dry February, it's the shortest month. Death by Cocktail, not for me, but we're both cutting back a bit. Probably doing keto for a while if I could be asked for the cooking. You'd have to explain that one, Graham. No idea. Haunted Coachman, I'm sure your liver would thank you. We're going to get to that. Mersey Beers, I am for health reasons, but providing it's not more food reviews, then maybe do local breweries only month. I'm not doing it, but I will be cutting back, as I did last month actually. Pondering Mark the Pondering Man. Waste of time. These dry months, they do nothing medically to help your body, but save you a few quid in the bank. I also reached out to a couple of friends of the channel, Breweries, and two of them came back to me. Well, actually, three of them came back to me, but I've included one a bit further down. Joe for Staggeringly Good. Well, as much as I understand the sentiment, I don't believe it supports a healthy, moderate lifestyle. Alcohol is not bad for you, it's only bad in excess. We at Staggeringly Good do not support drinking to excess or alcohol misuse. Dryjanuary, or whatever it's called this year, from what I see, does not help with people moderating their intake. but merely encourages heavy binging come February the 1st. Support local, support independent breweries and look after yourselves. Moderate your intake of alcohol sensibly and steer clear of fads. I think there's some fantastic points in there. Paul from Phantom Brewing up in Reading. It's probably more a conversation around modern life and mental health. The historical traditional reasons why we consume alcohol and the reasons why we do it in our own lives today. Enjoyment, pleasure, a need to escape, or a reason to be social and see friends. Others, a coping strategy, and for some, it's part of their identity. For others, it's become an addiction. I'd say dry January can be used for anything. I'd like to go dry January from using Amazon, for an example. Promoting a positive relationship with alcohol 12 months a year is important. And an old quote from my bar days: it's okay to drink, just don't get drunk. Everything in moderation. Like Buddha said, follow the middle path. I also reached out to a couple of beer reviewers on YouTube. One in particular, Nick from All Hail the Ale. As I know, he has a long promoted alcohol-free beers due to long-standing health issues. Here is some, not all of it, because it was quite a long thing, of what he had to say. Since 2020, I've been allowed no more than 14 units of alcohol in a 7-day rolling period. So have been drinking mostly alcohol-free beer, wines and spirits since. This January will be slightly different to last and the one before. I will be keeping my intake to an absolute minimum, whilst continuing to explore the ever-expanding range of alcohol-free drinks. It's been really insightful how quickly the AF industry is growing in the last 2 years. The only sector that really seems slow in the uptake is the hospitality sector. I'm a camera member, and every December you see reams of people moaning about how dry January is harmful to pubs, but it's the pubs that are missing the trick. Since Halloween 2020, I've only had 2 beers in a pub, which is shockingly low. The reason is simply because pubs don't carry a range of decent, emphasis on decent, alcohol-free beer. If they carried more, they'd take a small risk and reached out to the growing horde of alcohol-free brewers, then people like me would be able to frequent pubs more often than we do now. The hospitality sector doesn't cater for me. The AF industry is growing massively. This encourages competition and a race to the top. In 2023, you have Mash Gang, Jump Ship, Drop Beer, all producing alcohol-free beers, completely removing the fear of missing out factor. With that in mind, the above in mind, it's possible to do dry January and support breweries and the hospitality industry together. We just need the hospitality industry to catch up and embrace the tens of thousands of people who want a bevy without the booze. Thank you ever so much, Nick. I really, really, really hope that happens, because there is a demand for alcohol-free beer. It is there. I've done Doom Bar Zero tonight. There's no demand for that. I know you've done Mash Gang. You've done all sorts of quality alcohol-free beers there. So there is room for them. So range of view from a range of people. Some can see the benefit, and support any decision that can make a positive impact on your life. And those that believe that doing something for 1 month does little to lessen the overall impact of your life. Promoting long-term positive change for me is the best solution. Reduce monthly intake, take 2 or 3 days between drinks, limit your intake by half of whatever you feel will make a difference to your life. There is also just the effect it has. There is also not just the effect it has on individuals. As Nick touched on, and Joe and Paul, there is effect it has on business. Let's be brutally honest here. Since the pandemic hit, businesses in the UK have largely been on their knees. government haven't helped. Cost of living is going up. Local pubs, restaurants, food bars, tap rooms, breweries, all fighting for survival. Obviously, content here on Scott and Wander's World, much to Wander's chagrin, is largely beer related again at the moment when she isn't in it. So I have an active interest in the overall perception, industry, culture of beer. Being a man that sits in his shed, reviewing beer. January is hard enough month, not just for business, for people in general. Christmas has come and gone, and people have to wait what seems like 34 odd years till that February paycheck finally hits your bank account at the end of January, which is like 7 weeks for me. So money's already tight. Local pubs are on their knees. Breweries are on their knees. The hospitality sector's on its knees. And dry January is, by its very nature, making their survival that tiny bit harder. Asking people to go dry for 1 month puts these businesses at real risk of survival. As said, some people use alcohol and the surrounding social aspect as a coping mechanism. Lonely people go to the pub as if their only interaction they get that day. People with all sorts of mental anxieties and mental issues use pubs and tap rooms, etc., to free them from the stress of daily life. Going to these places is by its nature a social thing. During the pandemic, home drinking grew by an incredible rate. We all overindulged, didn't we? And there's nothing wrong with, after a long stressful day, popping a can of beer to help you relax and chill out. Is it? I don't think so. Again, asking people to stop is detrimental to the businesses those purchases support. To ask people to abstain from places that sell alcohol for 1 month can put not only those businesses, but the breweries and suppliers, but also the public at risk as well. However, I do believe breweries could do more to aid this. There are more low ABV beers available, but there's still not enough of quality, as Nick said earlier, in the pubs, bars and tap rooms to offset the reduction in alcohol sales. If you go into a pub and you want a low ABV, no ABV beer, you're usually greeted by crap like Punk, alcohol free, Beck's Blue, Heineken Zero, Copperberg ciders, all that sort of shit. And it's just not enough. I know my friend from All the Ale has done a huge range of alcohol-free beers on his channel, so go and give Nick some love. He's highlighted the fantastic work Mash Gang are doing on the alcohol front, and they should be applauded, and so should Nick for actually showcasing the work they're actually capable of and actually doing. I reached out to a good friend of the channel, Lee Hammerton of Hammerton Brewery in Islington, for a comment on Dry January, and here's what he kindly sent back to me. 2 years ago we saw it was a massively growing space that we felt we needed to be part of, as we only ever saw it getting bigger. 2 years on, and we've seen alcohol-free gain massive traction as pubs and bars start to stock more alcohol-free beer. Drinkers in general are more conscious of what they're drinking volume-wise, so are happily choosing alcohol-free beers while socialising. The stigma of drinking alcohol-free beer has massively changed and likely to continue to do so, as it's becoming commonplace. We have found it really interesting and challenging to create a great tasting alcohol-free beer. Our alcohol-free Pale Z won Best Keg Alcohol-Free Beer in the UK, and last month won the Best Alcohol-Free Can in the South East. So if you care about awards and all that, it's actually our second biggest winning beer, only better by Crunch. A fucking brilliant beer, Crunch, and one of Wander's favourites. I think that's not in Lee's comment. I think the alcohol-free market is still relatively small, and still not making not many keg lines in pubs and bars, but it's going to get bigger and bigger. And you can see an alcohol-free draft keg line in most pubs in the next 12 to 18 months, and I think that's critical. if you want to do these sort of campaigns like Dry January or help promote positive drinking, then getting these alcohol-free better and into pubs is going to be, well, it's critical. It's critical to that, because at the moment when you're faced with things like alcohol-free fucking Heineken and Stella and shit like that, no one wants it. So there are breweries like Mash Gang, Big Drop, Hammerton, Adnams of Ghost Ship, even Brewdog for their bad points. Although their alcohol-free stuff is largely shit, but they're doing their bit. All of the pubs and supermarkets are hampered with the shit like Doom Bar Zero, Heineken Zero, Corona Zero, San Miguel Zero, Peroni Libera. It's no draw. It's not going to draw people in enough to make it viable and make people want to make that choice of alcohol or alcohol-free beer. Until that changes and the quality's there is no choice. Which brings me lastly to the responsibility of the so-called beer influencers, beer reviewers, beer enthusiasts, whatever you want to call people that put their thoughts into either print in places like Facebook forums, pictures and words on Instagram, the Untapped Elite, the Rate Beer Massive, or the really special amongst us, the beer tubers. Fucking hate that term, to be fair. We all have a responsibility to promote beer the right way. I'm not saying I'm against Dry January. I'm just saying it's not for me, personally. I rarely review more than one beer a day. And if I do more than one beer, it's generally two, that's for the next day as well. Have I been, shall I say, slightly inebriated on camera? That would be a lie, so I haven't. There is evidence out there to the contrary. If you're pulling your phone, camera out, whatever you do to do your reviews, for every beer you drink, sometimes more than once a day, or drinking to excess in the morning, is clearly an issue. I am as guilty as anyone, because looking at all the beer YouTubers out there, not one of us at the end of their video says please drink responsibly and take in mind the recommended guidelines. That is something that I will be doing on future videos. If you believe you have an excessive relationship with alcohol or a dependence on it, please reach out in a direction that can help you. We lost a very dear friend of ours recently through alcohol dependency, and it was too late. Dry January wouldn't have brought him and cured him. So if you have a problem and you believe you have a problem, please deal with it. Which brings me to my relationship with alcohol. And this is going to be this is personal. I was never a big drinker. And in my eyes, I'm probably still not. During a pretty horrific divorce, I started to frequent the pub more, mainly to escape the toxic nature of the environment I was living in. Due to my stress levels being through the roof, I began to enjoy a beer or two in the evening. Mainly punk IPA, as people know my love of a punky IPA at the time. A couple of bottles a night, no harm done. As my stress levels got higher through the divorce and my fight to see my son, I drank closer to bedtime. I've suffered with insomnia for many years and began to use it as a crutch I believe would help me sleep. And part of my brain, even now, tells me I need a beer to go to sleep. I don't have any in the morning, and I don't have anything. So I come home, have my dinner, and then I might have a beer in the evening. But my brain tells me I need a beer to sleep. I met wandering a pub. Wetherspoons music. A lot of love for Wetherspoons out there, I know. Due to the still ongoing going through divorce, our meetings were largely in Wetherspoons. So I drank a bit more. Not to the point where I was ever concerned. I wasn't ever concerned about it, but it used to be a coping mechanism to survive days. I'd also like to add, it never impacted my work, and it never impacted my general day-to-day ability to live the mundane life and do the mundane things. I set up a YouTube channel.
But unlike the others, I'm a one-beer wonder.
And by the nature of the beast, my alcohol consumption increased. The excitement of new world of finding beers to try and review naturally increased my intake. I'd buy beers to review and drink them before they made it to the channel. Spent a fair amount of money that could have been spent elsewhere in the month. And as a beer channel, we were only doing 2 a week, which has now increased stupidly to almost daily. Not all beer related, obviously, but the majority. Whereby I was reviewing a beer when coming home from work, I was then, because my brain associated beer with sleep, buying a couple more beers for sleeping purposes, shall we say, and getting into a panic if I didn't have any. I've been very, very lucky in my life. I met Wanda, who has made my life incredible. She's nurtured me back from wanting to commit suicide. Has put up with me so much and helped me reduce completely that dependency on beer to the point now I enjoy a beer. I enjoy reviewing a beer. I enjoy talking to you guys about beer. I don't have a dependency on beer to help me sleep anymore, and that's a fairly recent thing. I no longer have that sleep dependency on beer. It's taken a long time to nurse that back. I recognise I had an issue, and I've tried and successfully resolved it. This channel and beer no longer rules my life. Beer never ruled my life anyway, but it tried to rule my sleep, and I let that. I enjoy reviewing beer. I hope you enjoy watching me review beer, but that review doesn't lead to another beer and another and another and another anymore. I've learned that my relationship with beer is what I make of it, and I think that's really important. For me, I think dry January should be more damp January. Cut back, reduce your intake, make a choice that's long lasting, not a quick fix. Moderation in any part of your life is the key. Simply abstaining for 1 month, I don't believe, is the right route for either person or the businesses involved. On a finishing note, if your alcohol intake is affecting your health, your life, your family, and your day-to-day ability to live a normal life, and you can honestly look in the mirror and say that to yourself, please reach out. Please. And take the measures to help you. We're here. There's a comment button. There's an email address. There are plenty of support networks out there to help you. For me, dry January has a place. Possibly. It's not for me. I think long term, consistent moderation in whatever you do is the key to anything in life. I hope you've enjoyed this video. It's been, I know there's a lot of talking, there's a lot of quotes. I haven't found it too boring. There's a bit about me in there as well. Interested in your thoughts on dry January, alcohol as a whole, veganuary, all the other things that are supposed to promote for a month a healthier thing. So please leave your comments in the comments box. Stay safe. Make the changes you believe you need if you need to make them. Look after each other and be kind. And me and Wonder. We'll see you very soon. Have a good evening. Warning. Drink responsibly. Thank you. Should you believe you need expert help, the services on screen are there to help you. No judgment, so please reach out to them. Thank you.